Hi, and welcome to the Marketing for Book Coaches podcast. This is the podcast for you, the book coach, if you're a little bit lost in the tricky world of marketing and need some guidance to find your way in the woods of marketing. Today, we're talking about Substack. And for that, I have invited for you the best Substack growth strategist out there. She's an award-winning memoir author who has founded the community Substack Writers Work. This is a community who focuses on helping people to produce their best work, build a loyal audience, and earn the money they deserve on Substack. Yes, we're going to talk about money. So let's learn how to transform your Substack into a thriving platform with Sarah Fay. Hey, Sarah.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, thank you for coming on because you actually have so much experience and so much things to talk about Substack. And it is a little bit that new thing for book coaches to go on. So thank you so much for taking out the time out your busy schedule. Before we get into it, how did you come to Substack and not any other social media?
So I came to Substack, and this will be good for book coaches the way many writers do, which is that I had a book coming out, and with HarperCollins, I met with the marketer, and she said, start a Substack. That is pretty much what every agent, editor, publishing house, etc., is doing right now. And like many, I had no guidance. I had no idea what I was doing. And I did what a lot of people do, which is I got on the platform and I started writing and I started posting. I was on there for almost 2 years, and I don't think I grew at all. I don't think I got one new subscriber in 2 years. But I really loved the platform, and it was such an amazing place. I was just rereading some of the posts I did, and I was like, wow, these are really good. And it's a place, for some reason, the platform just really lends itself to produce your best work. And that was what I decided to do on there. But then I wasn't growing, and luckily I have a wonderful agent, and she introduced me to Sophia, who is the head of writer relations for Substack in the US. And Sophia is just phenomenal. She's just a wonderful person. And she sat down with me and said, this is working, this isn't. She just looked over my Substack. This is working, this isn't. Change this, change this. I did. I grew by 2,000 subscribers in 6 months. And it was just phenomenal, the growth and the difference. So I am a teacher. I teach creative writing, and I've taught for 20 years. So I went to Substack and I said, can I teach this to people? Can I do what you did for me, for others? And they said, yes, please. They would meet with each of us individually if they could. There are just only 90 of them, and who knows how many people writing on the platform. So I started Substack Writers at Work, and I got to know the people at Substack well, and I was put in their product lab and some of their beta tests. So I have a really wonderful relationship with them. I don't work for them. I should be clear about that. So I'm not in the war room or anything. I don't know that inside anything in that respect, but I do know how the platform works really well. And then I also really geek out on marketing and digital media publishing and just what's happening in the landscape. And I love it. And I love the platform so much. And more than anything, I love helping more than just writers, but anyone who's on the platform. So if you're a book coach and you're watching this, you might be helping someone who's not necessarily a quote unquote writer. And actually I did a post about once you are on Substack and writing, you are a Substack writer. There are a lot of people who feel like I can't call myself a writer, but you don't have to be that kind of writer on Substack. So don't worry.
Oh yeah, that's actually, that's an amazing point to tell, because there are two things that I really get out of what you're saying here. One, you love the platform, and that is also something that I always say to my book coaches: go to the platform that you really, really love. And secondly, as in so many things, you can't do it on your own. You had one subscriber over 2 years, you went to 2,000 over 6 months because of the help and the coaching that you also now transfer to book coaches. So if you have a book coach who's like watching this and say, yeah, I love Substack, why Substack and not any other social platform?
And now you're going to get a little bit of my soapbox, but I'll promise not to do it too much. I also have a cape that is has Substack written on it. This is a Substack evangelist. So I joke about that. But
well, I love having people like you on the podcast, because that's it, right? We don't want someone who's like, oh yeah, I'm on there because there's no, that's where writers are. You want to have someone who's like, you know what, I love it, and I go for it. You you
Totally.
you you get me on LinkedIn. I'm exactly the same, and I found that's how you actually get the best out of people as well. So.
Yeah, we should talk about LinkedIn because basically, I am not on any other social media platforms anymore, and I'm only on Substack. And
I'm
so
I'm the
why?
same. Huh?
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
the
Are you
same.
only on LinkedIn?
Only on
Perfect.
LinkedIn.
And the only one I have a placeholder still open on LinkedIn because I don't have as much of a problem with LinkedIn. And part of it was, to be honest, I wasn't getting that much traction on those platforms anyway. I've never been an ex Twitter person. I think I had a Twitter for about a month. I had about 4,000 people on Instagram. I had 5,000 on Facebook. It was not a huge amount. And I really never liked, and TikTok, I tried for 2 seconds, I think.
Oh,
But
I didn't even go there.
I mean, TikTok is hard. That's the thing. They're really difficult platforms. But for me, I had one for a little while. For one thing, Meta has made it so that they are now penalizing people from leaving the platform. Same with Twitter,
Oh,
X,
okay.
whatever we want to
Oh, I
call it.
didn't know.
So when you say go to my website, go to link in bio, etc. As soon as you mention something off the platform, the algorithm dings you and you get in front of fewer people. And so that appalls me. And then just especially for coaches who are all of you are amazing, but
Yeah.
the amount of intellectual property and creative work that we are giving away for free on those platforms is really, really horrible to me. I just feel so bad for all the
Oh,
content creators
yeah.
out.
We're
We're making
evangelists on that as well.
Yeah, we're just making Mark Zuckerberg richer. And I just don't want to do that. I don't need, Elon Musk doesn't need my money. And so what Substack is a totally different pay model. And so its financial model is that they make money when we do. So they get 10% of our subscriptions. And so basically I own my work again, and I am the one making money off of it. It also behooves them to create a platform where we can make the most money. Meta, it behooves them to make a platform where you can't make money and advertisers can, and they can, and have to pay for ads to get in front of people, which is what they're doing. So I just ethically, after a certain point, now don't get me wrong, I love me a good cat video. I can tell you that I miss my cat videos. I have to make them up. I've got my little
Yeah, you can
boy
find
here.
them on YouTube. Huh?
You can see right there.
Oh,
But yeah. So, I mean, again, like, I understand some people love social media, and I don't really have a problem with being on there in the way that some people did. I didn't feel great on there, but I don't have a problem with social media, and I'm not trying to shame anyone on those platforms. It's just after a certain point, I thought ethically, I just don't want to give Mark Zuckerberg money. I just don't want to give Meta money and my work. I
yeah.
don't want to work for him. That didn't interest me. And so Substack, what's so exhilarating about it is that we are in control of our work again, and everything we do is making us money, not somebody else. True, Stripe gets 10%, they get 10%, but it just feels different. And
Yeah.
I love that about it. So that's
I mean,
why, that's why I
the way
chose
you
it.
say it, indeed, it does sound very different.
Yeah.
This is something I didn't know about Substack as well. It's like, oh, this is actually not a bad thing. That, like you say, you have control of your content and you don't get penalized for sending out to other people.
Yeah. And then also, so if we talked about, well, why not Medium? Why not Ghost? Why not these other newsletters? Why not Beehive? And, Medium is such a different platform, but they also reward for, they have an unrealistic pay model, which is that they reward you for how long someone stays on your page. Well, we live in an era of scanning and skimming. That doesn't make sense. It totally undermines writers.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's this formula, and you work the algorithm. What's interesting about Substack is the algorithm is 100% based on engagement, not frequency. So you do not have to publish very often if you don't want to. I mean, you will grow faster the more often you publish. That's true, and post and send out. But my author Substack now, I post once a month, and I have a community.
Once a month.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I've had people coming in, you don't have to publish a lot, like once a week, but once a month, that's amazing.
Well, once a month is not ideal. So I will
Yes.
say that if Sophia were sitting here, she would say once a week. And I do on Substack Writers at Work, I am once a week and a little bit more because I'm always sending out like notices of workshops or whatever. But on that, that was also the philosophy behind it. So the way I have it set up is, that I wanted to be easy on people's inboxes, but I have grown just fine that way.
Yeah, no, I'm amazed. I'm like, oh yeah, okay.
Don't
Substack is
only
probably worth the while to go have a look at.
do not publish once a month and get mad at me if you don't grow. So, but just like come see me at Substack
Yes,
Writers at Work.
I
And
was
we'll work
no,
on
but
it.
I was going to say, yeah,
Yeah.
it's also not that easy. When everything happens, you have to do some of the work behind it, and that was going to be also my question as well. So now I'm a book coach. I want to go on Substack. I don't want to publish every single day. Where do I start? What do I do?
Yeah. And in fact, I would do not publish every single day. People do not want to hear from us that much. So it's an interesting relationship. It's a more intimate relationship than followers. So followers are fickle, right? They're probably not going to become your clients that often, as book coaches probably know. I work with a lot of coaches and I love working with coaches. I'm a big fan. So I think what you all do is amazing. And I love the idea that Substack can work for you. Right now, I have a little pod of coaches that I'm working with to see how you all can really use the platform for different reasons. So one thing that's very narrow right now is a lot of people who talk about how to succeed on Substack don't have the experience that I do working one-to-one. I've worked with over 600 clients from every field. So I'm not just working with writers, and I'm working with psychologists and, politicians. And I mean, just like it's such a huge range. But also coaches. And what I do with people is, how can you use Substack as an apparatus? You are on Substack, but you don't have to be on Substack or even think of yourself that way. Now, the network is amazing and the organic growth is amazing. So I fully endorse taking advantage of it. But really, it's something for you to get people to your courses or to your one-to-ones, or that's really what I do with my one-to-one clients, is how can we take your gifts, your talents, your expertise, and make them work on the platform and make you money. I am a huge fan of this. I'm saving for my old age.
Yes.
And I am really I believe everyone from McDonald's to Substack deserves to be paid for their work. No one should be asked to work for free. And that is something that we've gotten used to. There's sort of this idea that you're being this capitalist, shallow something or other if you want, to be paid for your work. But why should Jeff Bezos be ridiculous?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I feel like this is a whole other podcast we could just
do on
that topic.
I hope I answered your question, but I think it was, I hope I answered.
Yeah, that's a gentle reminder to bring us back.
Yeah. Where were we going?
So where I'm a book coach. I'm on the platform.
Yes.
How do I get
started? So the main thing would be, and this is what I find with coaches that I've worked with, the transition that's hardest for coaches is we all, I mean, coaches, I'm not really a coach in the traditional sense, but so used to niching down and so used to selling what you do. And the shift on Substack is going to be, no, actually, you're now a thought leader. Now you're a content creator. And I don't like the word content necessarily. Like, you're producing your best work. And it's a big shift for people, but once it happens, they just fall in love with Substack. So let me give you an example to make it very clear. So one of my coaches, she is a binge eating coach. And so she came on. Now, binge eating's tough. Like, that's going to be a very tough. Now, for coaching, it's great, but you want a community on Substack of readers who comment and back and forth. And so what we had to do, and she was just selling really on Substack. And what we had to get her to do was, what was her broader philosophy? Like, what does she really see as being the core of what she does when she helps people? So you all can think about, what am I really doing with my authors? So for her, it was about disconnecting. Like, as a human experience, I'm disconnecting. So as book coaches, I'm sure we're dealing with a lot of the same stuff: procrastination, discipline. What do your clients struggle with? That's what you're going to be writing But you'll also be writing about your clients and your successes, and you'll be sending out sales emails, all of that. People think they have to get on Substack and can't sell. Like, no, 100% you do. We just don't have segmented email lists, and automated emails, which I think is a good thing. The other shift for coaches is you all have been conditioned on freebies. And so
Yes.
the Substack is your freebie. That's your freebie. And that's what's weird for people. It's like, well, wait, don't I need a PDF for someone? Don't I need a downloadable PDF? No, you don't, not anymore. So it's a very different framework. And you also don't need automated emails going out, because you're going to have a much more intimate relationship, as I was saying, to your subscribers. It's so different. And every time you write something, it's going to go to them, and it's a real connection that you're going to be having with them. You're also going to be getting their comments, and you're going to be hearing from them, so you can be talking about what they're talking about. And it's a two-way relationship, but also a more lively relationship, and can benefit you in your work tremendously.
Yeah, I see the benefit, but how do we get to build up that community? Because, I mean, you said to us, I had 1 subscriber over 2 years, and then I went to 2,000 over 6 months. How did you come to build that community at the start?
Yeah, there is no question you have to be producing really quality work. You won't grow without that. Now, what is quality? It does not, we're not handing out the Nobel Prize for literature, I promise.
Not yet.
Not yet on Substack. So it's not that. But for what really it is, and I'm teaching a workshop about this and a class actually off of Substack, but it's voice. It's you being you. And so the other shift for Substack that a lot of people love, but it's also kind of hard for people, is it's not social media. You're not performing anymore. You get to be you, you get to be messy, you get to have the cat next to you, people want you. They want to be connected to you. And it will lead to more one-to-ones. Mine just exploded because I'm so present, and it's really, people see my cats and I'm whatever it is that I'm doing, not in a confessional way, not in a weird, like disclosing my life, but just I get to be real on here. But so how do you grow? Right now, what's amazing about Substack is the network. And so what I teach people to do, and what I do in my one-to-ones, is I would be connecting you with other book people on Substack. And so you are all writing. There is no competition, right? What you do, first of all, there are 40 million people reading on the platform. There's plenty to go around, plenty. And that's the philosophy. And what we do on Substack is we all support each other. I'm always boosting even other people who teach about being on the platform, because they're different from me. They're so different.
Absolutely. Yes.
And so it's a wonderful relationship. So let's say if you all came on, and I would have you be working with each other, boosting each other's posts, really trying to, again, get that engagement. But the other thing is then tapping into other people. So now we have our own internal social media network called Notes. And that is tremendous growth. I mean, it is day and night. So when I was first on Substack, there also was no Notes. That did not happen. So that's part of the reason why. But I also wasn't tapping into the network. Right now, it's still also in these nascent stages. So often the CEO of Substack calls it's the early days of YouTube and podcasting. That you can still just start a Substack and grow. I have seen amazing things happen, but pretty soon there will probably be 5 million Substacks, just like there are 5 million. So it won't always be like this, but you can be on Substack. You can really communicate, contact people. You can DM them. They'll often respond. Even big names will do this. And so, but that won't always be there. So now really is the time to get on there and take advantage of this. And I don't know how it'll change, but inevitably it's going to change.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, the way you talk about it, this is how LinkedIn has changed so much over the last months, really, where, like, the same, you had that really knit community, you could reach out to people. Now I've seen it as well, the number of people who don't respond or respond very, like, negatively. And you're like, this is LinkedIn, it's a network. So, like, what do you want us to do? So, it's, like you say, I think it's probably going to go the same, except that because I do see so many people asking you about Substack, and that's also the reason I wanted you on the podcast, because that question comes back all the time. But so to really build up that community, what we need is quality work, and you need to do also the work of networking, like reaching out, getting into contact with your Substack. How do you call them? Followers, engagers?
It's a bit confusing on Substack. So it's not you. You have subscribers to your email list. And when you post, some people, this is also confusing, but you post and it goes out to your email list, but it also sits on the web like a blog. Then and I like to think of, I always say Substack is your home. So your home is, you get to like send it out to your email list like a letter, and then also it will always be there on your, in your home of your website. And then meaning your Substack site. Then we have Notes, which is our internal social media network. That's like a river down the road from your house. So you have to go Notes sometimes and drop your posts into there. So you basically do something we call restacking. And don't worry if any of this is confusing, but the point is that we have, so now you've got subscribers to your Substack, but we also have followers on Notes. All of your subscribers are followers, but you can have people follow you who aren't subscribed. So it's a little bit, there's a lot on Substack, I will say. I do love the platform, but it is not intuitive, and it is often extremely confusing, which is why I have a job. Because I'm very good at explaining it to people. And also telling you, like, not what you don't have to worry about. You don't have to be master Substack. I promise. You don't.
Yeah, I think it comes back to what we said in the beginning. You have to love Substack. If this is your social platform, you will get into it and very quickly grasp those little things.
Can I say one thing real quick?
Yeah, of course. Go.
You were saying, okay, I'm a book coach. I want to get on Substack. What do I do? And so, yes, you need to be producing quality work. And a lot of that will come down to voice. So being yourself, and then also taking advantage of the network. And then the third thing, which is really important, is who are you on the platform? Who are your people? So who are you speaking to? Who are you talking to? And what are you saying to them? So basically looking at your, there is, again, this idea of not niching so much, because we often think of that demographically. We think I talk to 50-year-old women who want to lose weight or whatever that is. Or I talk to old men who are retired and want to write a book about their lives. But instead, what to think about is, what does your person need or want? And how are you fulfilling that? So I'm a book coach, I work with self-published authors. I'm really writing for people who are self-published, who feel like they have no idea how to promote. Okay, is that all you're going to write about? No, you're also going to write about your life. And that's something people don't understand. So you're not going to do, again, a big self-disclosure, but you can talk about being a book coach. Some of you may be writers too. You can talk about writing. That does
absolutely.
well on
Yeah.
So, but knowing, okay, what people really need from me is discipline. They need to understand editing. They need whatever it's going to be, self-publishing, promotion, publicity, whatever it's going to be, working with a traditional publisher. Yeah.
Okay. It's you were saying a word again. I'm like, this we need to talk about promotion, because it's all very nice to be on Substack and write and the community, but time is money as well. So how do we monetize our Substack?
Yeah. So that is also very confusing for people. Now, as book coaches, you have a very, you could do a couple of different things. And this is what I do in my one-to-ones. The thing about a paid strategy on Substack is you have to have a strategy. It doesn't just happen.
You have to have a strategy. Who knew?
Yeah. So that's the first thing. And then figuring out that every strategy is totally individual. If there was a secret, if there was a hack, everybody would be doing it, and there isn't. But that's also the beautiful thing about Substack, which is it's so individual, it's so personal. And so what I would do with you is look at, well, what do you want to do on there? How busy are you? And paid subscribers for you all may not even be the best use of your time. Let me tell you why, because you're going to make a lot more from your one-to-ones than you are from paid subscribers. You just are.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean we aren't, if we were working together, it's not that we wouldn't be building paid subscribers. We would, and we would want your paid offer to be really solid. But ultimately, what we're really doing, Substack to me for coaches, is an unbelievable way to build your free list and have a constant stream of potential one-to-ones, or create a membership off the platform, because ultimately you're just going to make more that way. $50 a year as opposed to a membership that's $50 a month. It doesn't compare. So that's also something I love doing with people, which is strategizing. Okay, again, this apparatus that I've been given that has this tremendous organic growth right now, just building my list. On my author list, I get about 160 new people every month, just to my list. Like that's just growing. But on Substack Writers at Work, I get 2,000 a month. So there's a huge range, but that kind of growth, that's what you have to pay for on Meta. So this is an opportunity not to have to pay anymore. Don't take out ads. Like I just want people coming to Substack, taking advantage of all the free opportunities. You can have you can host your podcast on there for free. Even if you never wanted a podcast, it's very easy to have one on Spotify if you do audio for your posts. I mean, it's just, there's so many possibilities to take advantage of. So yes, the publicity and the promotion, in some ways, a lot of that's going to happen on Notes. And then also, but you're getting paid subscribers. So let me talk about what your paid offering as a book coach might be. Some of it, when I look at what agents and we have a lot of agents on the platform. Some publishers, so hybrid publishers like Brooke Warner is on there, Kathleen Schmidt is on there, Kate McKeon, the agent. So they have really successful Substacks. And so they are primarily just writing. Some of them have fully paid communities, so they are fully paid. So you do have to just pay to get their newsletter. So that's one option. And then the other part of it, though, that you could be doing is something, because you're a coach and not an agent necessarily, so they're tapped into industry news. So that's part of it. Kate McKeon is 100% free. She doesn't paywall anything. So again, there's just a lot of different options. As a book coach, because you want to be building your free, because really what you're going to be going for is either one-to-ones or memberships off the platform. What you really want to be doing is looking at, okay, maybe there's something I could do like a challenge. That can bring in a lot and get people work. I have a lot of, several clients who do challenges. People love a challenge. They just love it.
Yeah, they do. It's so competitive.
So if you do a writing challenge, something having to do with your book coaching, something you're really good at, like generate 500 words a day for 30 days or 4 weeks or whatever it might be. This
is an excellent idea for the NaNoWriMo, by the way. Coming up in November. So if you're a book coach, this could be an idea to go on.
Exactly. And so having that as a challenge converts very well on Substack. So let's say you were to do quarterly challenges for your paid subscribers, but everything else is free. That's a great way to grow, because you're growing paid and it's a very clear paid offering. What people do is they just start paywalling randomly. It doesn't work. It just makes people mad and you lose the free subscribers. And then the other thing that they do is not really think through, wait, is paywalling really the best option? Those are, you have not everyone can do a challenge, right? If you write about certain things, that wouldn't make sense. But for you guys, you can. And so I would really recommend that as a paid strategy for book coaches. And of course, if you wanted to work with me, I could show you more about that and how it works, but it converts very, very well.
Yeah, I love that. That's like a simple idea, but it always comes back to what you as a book coach can or want to do, and to have that strategy, to know exactly where you're going and while you're on the platform. So I really, really love that. Sarah, I feel that you're like a Pandora box of Substack. There's so many questions that we could ask, but we do have to come to a close. Last question, is there like something really funny that you've seen happening on Substack, an interaction or a story or of a friendship that built out to something bigger, and that you could tell us about?
Something funny. Yeah, for some
Yeah.
reason. Now, of course, someone's like, tell me a joke.
No,
She has to
Substack is not funny, no.
Substack is very funny. I guess the one thing I will say is Notes, when it started, I don't know if this is funny, but when it started, it was very much a professional, more like LinkedIn. And it was very much Substack writers talking to each other, and we would share each other's posts, and we would share our own posts. And now that more and more people are coming to the platform, it's getting little more Twitter X, a lot more Instagram. And that's fine, because even when they started Notes and I was in the beta of Notes, I really they wanted it to be this more professional stream of everyone kind of giving teasers of their posts. And I was constantly putting up pet pictures of my cats. And so it was like the co-founder.
The very beautiful cat, by the way. For those who are listening, Sarah has showed us her beautiful black, white, long hair cat.
And so still there's criticisms about people who post pet pictures. So every other Friday, I run Pet Stack, which is this big announcement on Notes, and everybody just deluges it with pet pictures, rabbits, parrots, like whatever it is. So that's my favorite part of Notes is Pet Stack.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So all go follow Pet Stack. Thank you so much, Sarah. This is really amazing, and I loved having you on the podcast. But you are having a really nice treat for my book coaches. So can you talk us a little bit more about that little surprise that's coming out of the Pandora box?
Yep. So I created a Substack in 60 minutes. It'll give you a great overview of Substack.
So it's a workshop, huh?
It's a workshop. And so it's a replay of a workshop that I did for my paid subscribers. And then also people could purchase it for $45 off the platform. And you all are going to get it for free. And
for free.
Yeah. And so I'm going to I will give you, access to that, and they can, just come and watch it. But it gives you a really great sense of the platform first, but gets you thinking about a couple of things that will help you make that transition to the platform. And then I have a whole accelerator course that is Substack in less than 3 hours, which I love. So very condensed videos. No one wants a course. I mean, I don't think.
I think we passed that stage now.
Very bite-sized. So that's also there, down the road if someone was interested. So yeah.
Okay, good. But that again, just so Sarah is really normally not putting out this for free, but because she came on the podcast and because it's for you, you get that free access to her 60-minute workshop. Ideally, if you're a little bit hesitating on going on Substack or not, this will help you to do that first steps. Thank you so much, Sarah. If you want to work more with you, where can we find you? How does it work?
So again, you'll find me on Substack, surprisingly.
Obviously.
So you can go to writersatwork.net, and that is where Substack Writers at Work is located. You can find my one-to-ones there. You'll also find the link to the Substack Accelerator course. And I will, of course, give you the link and the promo code so you can get to Substack in 60 minutes. And I hope you'll join us on Substack. It's a great place.
Yeah, it seems so. I'm thinking maybe I should have go look there. So don't worry about all the links. They will be in the description as well as the promo code. Sarah, thank you again so much for coming on the platform. No, on the podcast. I'm on the platform now. This was really, really so nice. As a reminder, so the 3 main tips that Sarah is giving us for Substack is know what work you want to do on Substack, connect with the network, and have quality work for it to work. And that's a wrap for today's episode of Marketing for Book Coaches. If you enjoyed this chat and you will have more of this, feel free to subscribe to the podcast on your preferred Substack podcast. I'm going to be on the Substack all the time now. On your preferred podcast platform, or you can also sign up for the newsletter. It's a weekly newsletter specifically with business tips and tricks for book coaches. And that's it. May your Substack newsletter become the talk of the town, and see you over at Sarah's. Bye-bye. Bye, Sarah.
Bye. Thank you.